Hello and welcome to the Cyber One YouTube channel. My name is Ray, and in this video, part 7 of the R2D2 build, I'm going to work on ring 4. Ring 3. So ring 3 printed as 4 parts, and again, these are held together with little plastic pins. I will tack weld mostly to hold it together. Also arrived in the mail today are my 500mm long M4 threaded rods. I actually got 8 of those. There's 4 hold the body together, here and here, and here and here. And then there's 4 hold modules which will support the legs. Here, here, here and here. So I'm going to start with these ones. These ones here only go through to here. They don't go down any further than that point. I don't believe they do anyway. And we'll attach all of this tack welded together, and then we'll stack it onto the body of the robot. Now, the join here, I'll bring it up here. We've got 2 holes down the bottom. These are, I think, a 2mm hole or near enough. And then there's 5 holes along this edge, which match up with the holes on this one. And when they're all in, it interlocks it together quite well. So I'm going to start with the bottom ones. Now these are 20mm long pieces. Might trim a fraction off those. I didn't trim much off, probably 2, maybe 3mm. That's better. They're just that little bit too long. Start up here. That's a little bit too long as well. That's alright. Did pop this bottom joint out though. These are not as easy to get in as they look. Alright, so that's the first half done. Let's get the next one. I bent those ones completely. Might cut some more a little bit shorter. I've got a little bit of filament stuck in there. Having trouble with that top hole. I might have to drill him out a little bit and try again. That's gone better. That's better, it's going in this time. It's as far as he's going to go in now. But that's enough for those joints. And we have these 2 at the bottom. Right, so that's all the joints pinned, but they will pull apart quite easily, so we're going to tack weld them in. At the same time, in this, buried on the back of the front side, in that grid down near the bottom there, in the middle you can just see a hole there. There's actually a slot in the top for a square nut to drop into, so I'm going to drop that square nut in and put a screw in to hold that into place. And I might do this from the front because it'll be easier to get at. Now this screw won't go all the way in, but it will hold that nut in place, assuming that nut goes all the way down. And we'll fill that up with filament while we're at it. So again, all this was printed in PETG, so I'm going to use PETG in my 3D pen. I'm using the ABS setting, set at 235 degrees C for the PETG filament. And we're going to tack weld all our joints. Maybe not this one at the front here. I'm not really convinced that's all the way in properly. Yeah, that's better. I could weld that, at least tack weld it in a couple of places. So this is up to temperature. Might just pull this one apart for the moment. It's easiest to put back together, just so I can get a better shot of this. So this is going to be an exposed joint here. So I do need to take a little more care with how I do this one. And it will probably need filing back when I'm finished. So I've tacked it here and down here. I'm going to tip it over and do a bit of a seam through here. Want a bit of strength in this one. And I just hit the eject button on my filament. And that makes that one a little bit stronger through there. I might give it another tack in the middle. We are pinned, and I will trim those pins back a little bit. But if I put in a couple more tacks in here, it'll give it a bit more strength. I will, while I've got this piece out and about, lock in that square nut. Alright, so that's our first pair done. Just move it around this way and get our next pair in. Okay, so I'm going to tack at the top first, and then I'll hold this in, do my first top tack, then I'll flip it over and do the bottom tack and seam weld the bottom, I think. Give it a good tack in there. That's pretty solid now. Might just give it another tack weld just here. Maybe a fairly lengthy tack weld. Excellent. Now, what I might do with this one, since the top side will be visible, I'm going to flip it over. That way our join is not going to be as visible. And we'll start with a tack weld on the inside here at the top. And now one at the bottom, or at the outside edge. This is just to make sure that it's all held together while I do the main seam weld. Now PTG expands when heated, and that's where most of my filament coming out after I let go of the extrude button is coming from. Alright, I'm not going to weld the second and third rings together. I'm going to use the threaded rods to hold them together, and that might make it easier to access some stuff, but I will still hit these weld on the bottoms just to make sure they're flat and smooth. Feeling a lot more solid. Trim these off cuts. Just so I don't injure myself later on. I'm just going to put this down and grab the base. So this is the skirt and rings 1 and 2, and what we're going to do is drop ring 3 on top. Remember, there are pins all the way around, so we're just going to make sure they all line up. And we'll grab our threaded rods and drop them down the holes. That's come out the bottom. That's out the bottom. Out the bottom. And that is ring 3 on and secured. This is the back of the, I've got the back of the robot here and the front up here. We have secured the nut in here. There is actually a greeble which goes into there, pokes through, and that will be held in place by that screw. Once I get the 4th ring and the Lady Susan top ring in place, we will screw these down. I will probably put a washer and a nut, probably a nylock on the bottom of each of these threaded rods, just so that it doesn't move or move down for now, but I'll do that when I put ring 4 on. To see when I do that, don't forget to click on like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. It's also a form of support that helps the channel a great deal and costs you absolutely nothing. If you'd like to help the channel further, I do have a Patreon and YouTube membership set up, and you can join my VIP patrons GoLucky and Coburnicus, my All Access Patron Jerde, my Builder patrons Al Morales45, Andrew Cardone, Airgar69, Stefan Papst, James Kelly and Guy Daumerie, and my YouTube member Magdy Salib in helping to support the channel. There is a link in the description so you can join the other members. All my YouTube members, all my patrons and YouTube members get these videos a week before they are publicly released on YouTube. VIP members get them as I produce them. If you've got any questions, feel free to drop a question in the comments or drop into my Discord. There will be a link in the description, and if I can't answer your question there, someone else might be able to. And we will see you in the next video.